and I was wrong. And this reminds me, and again, why I love working with animals, because being wrong is great. Being wrong is how we learn. And it reminded me that you can't fix and treat what you haven't seen move, what you haven't seen and felt the full picture. In the stable, I genuinely thought I knew what was going on. Had a little bit of, confidence about myself. I'd seen her in the stable, I'd looked at her body from all different angles, was listening to what the owner was saying, and I definitely had some confidence that I think I know what's going on here. And then I watched her move, and my theory completely fell apart. And I was wrong. And this reminds me, and again, why I love working with animals, because being wrong is great. Being wrong is how we learn. And it reminded me that you can't fix and treat what you haven't seen move, what you haven't seen and felt the full picture. Seeing a horse in the stable is one part. Seeing a horse with its owner is one part. Seeing a horse move on its own with no tack or rider is a fundamental part of understanding the body. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, go back and watch part 1 of this video so it makes complete sense. The link to the description is down below. And if you've watched part 1 and you're here to find out part 2, welcome. As a recap, from part 1, we looked at this mare in the stable. She struggled to pick up her front legs, and there was such a clear difference from the left to the right. For the left fore, she was trembling, she was snatching out of my hand, she was reluctant to place down her left hind. Whereas on the right side, the right fore be picked up no problem. She was so calm, her eyes were relaxed, her neck was relaxed, she was stood square behind. And then I watched her throughout the whole stable. So I got up on a stool, I stood behind her. Key thing, if you've not done that before, please do. It gives you such good indication and a different angle to assess your horse. I looked at her shoulders, significant difference in the muscle around the scapula on the left, behind the wither, compared to the right. When I came down to her level at the chest, in front, looking between her front legs, the muscles on the right side of her pectoral girdle, were so much bigger than the left. Standing at the back of her and then on the stool looking down at her pelvis, you could see a clear difference from the right side to the left side. The entire right pelvic girdle, without getting to a technical here on anatomy, was huge, was so much bigger. So the body already now is telling me that there is chronic, long-term patterns going on. This wasn't just something that's happened overnight. So I assumed, looking at her in the stable and seeing these asymmetries, that I had an idea of what was going on. But the movement showed me the truth. And I really want to give you guys the tools and understanding and take-home message that seeing a horse statically is very different to watching it move. And I always ask myself this when I'm working with a client, as a therapist, what are we trying to achieve? Because if we're going for symmetry, can we really say that's the main goal? Because are we really symmetrical as riders? Is the goal symmetry? What happens if the goal is to improve function? Surely that's more of a goal. I don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts below. My theory and way I've been treating horses and dogs over the years has adapted, not only because my knowledge has improved, but my feel has improved. And being a rider myself, I understand that a horse might look asymmetric and might look like it's got a really bad conformation, but you sit on board and my God, it moves. And isn't that what we're seeking for as riders? Or even from the ground if you don't ride, if you're wanting to improve the movement, the horse's welfare, health. Is symmetry really the goal? So when I saw this mare move, both on the hard ground, in walk only, and then when I watched her in the arena on a softer surface, in walk, trot, and canter, absolutely everything changed. I was totally wrong about the preconceived theories I'd created seeing her in the stable, seeing the asymmetries in the stable. The patterns in the stable, those muscle asymmetries, didn't match what I was seeing when I watched her move. So what did I see? When I watched her move, given on what I'd thought, because she was so uncomfortable on lifting up that left fore, my brain assumed, okay, she's going to be very uncomfortable going one direction to the other. And when I saw it, I thought, oh my God, she's actually uncomfortable on the right fore, not the left. The right fore. This really stood out as more of a problem in movement. When I was watching her in the stable, there was such a difference in her pelvis that I thought, oh my gosh, she must be really uncomfortable on the right hind. She was actually very uncomfortable on the left hind. So again, what's right, what's wrong? We don't know and don't have x-ray eyes. But what I wanted to say, and my point of this video, is that don't assume just from a stable assessment that you know what's going on. When we start to assess horses in all fields, in all aspects, without the tack on, without the rider on, you really start to understand the full picture to what is going on with that horse. And through seeing her in the stable, thinking it was the left fore that was the issue, to watching her move, seeing the clear head nod, very clear that it was the right fore. Now that would make sense because when she was picking up the left fore in the stable and she was snatching it out my hand, it wasn't because the left fore was the problem, it's because she's putting weight onto that right fore that was taking all of the body weight, and she was so uncomfortable she didn't even know what to do with her left hind. That's why she was pulling that left fore out of my hand, going, no, I need to put that on the ground to get weight off of my right fore. Let me know if you have any thoughts, comments. Comment below. I'm always here to learn, but also here to answer any questions. With this mare, because of what I'd seen and also hearing the history, the management, the specific work that I did with her was very much dependent on the aftercare. This was a game changer because of how the body was showing that these patterns were going on for such a long time. I wanted to make sure that once you've done a little bit of treatment, and that's the key here, less is more. Less is more in a body that is already compensating. The key thing that I wanted to do was give a little bit of treatment, give a structured aftercare routine, because if we go back to what we've always done, the body will just go back to what it's always used to doing and compensating for a reason. So the biggest change here was looking at the management, seeing how many times a day she left the box, what was the frequency, what was the duration, what exactly was involved. All of these key factors, even to the point of being very specific about who was riding the mare because of the frame that we wanted her to be in. All key factors when it came to ensuring that we were all working as a team towards helping this mare improve her movement, improve her way of going. It wasn't just about a one treatment, a one solution, one fix approach. Only 3 weeks later, I was genuinely blown away by the progress in how this mare was moving. I honestly couldn't believe, and I don't even know why I keep being so shocked, but when you work with a team of owners, riders, trainers, veterinarians, you genuinely see the fastest results when it comes to horses because their bodies are constantly wanting to heal. All they're looking for is the right environment, the right training. And when you work with people who look at and listen to the body, listen and try and understand from a place of curiosity, not ego, and who are okay being wrong, you get the quickest results. Trust me, I've been in 6 countries in the last 8 months, and I've seen this day in and day out. This is a worldwide technique. This is a worldwide approach to working with horses. The magic really happens when you give the body, in this case the horse's body, the condition to heal. And that's exactly what happened with this mare. And I'm really excited to see what she's like in another 6, even 12 weeks to see where she is. The big takeaway from this episode today is don't focus solely on static assessment. We ride the horse, we watch them move, for those of us that have performance horses. So understanding how they move, watch how they move as a team, as a collective, then implementing specific aftercare advice will transform your horse. I promise, I've seen it all over. If you want to understand your horse more and you enjoyed this video today, first of all, please give me a follow and subscribe, like, and share this with anyone who needs to see it. And the second thing is I have a community group on School called the Female Rider Code. We not only look at understanding our horse's behavior better so that we can know how to train and adapt our training to suit them. It's also working on us as riders, optimizing our health so that we can show up as a 50-50% partnership. We can show up in the best way that we can, both in and out of the saddle. So if you haven't already, join the group. Click on the link below in the description.